What is up, people? It's the Atheist Guard. I have stumbled upon another video with 4 questions atheists cannot answer. This is by WorldMinistry, published May 28th, 2013. And I have a feeling where this is going to go. These look like they're entirely like my last video, where the person asking the questions can't think outside his own box. So he's asking questions from his perspective, which we all kind of do, but he can't even imagine questions that would be relevant to an atheist. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
Number 1, why do atheists hate Jesus, the Christianity, and the Bible over any other so-called God or false God?
I don't. I mean, it's more predominant for me specifically because I happen to live in the United States, and thus the religion that I encounter the most happens to be Christianity, and it also happens to be the religion I was indoctrinated into when I was a child, such that it's the one I had to overcome directly. It's the one I spent the most time thinking about, but I don't hate it any more than any other. You know, actually, I think I would probably hate Islam more than Christianity, because Islam has not gone through its Reformation period. It is still, used by radicals to justify violence, whereas Christianity really doesn't do that too much anymore. Not in a simple sense anyways. Of course, you could say that the religious right, with their extreme support for the military-industrial complex, is, they're the warmongers among us, predominantly. But it's not the same. I mean, we're talking about people blowing themselves up, crashing planes into buildings. I would think I hate Islam way more than I hate Christianity right now. Christianity can seem benign in our culture, almost irrelevant. Except for the fact that people legislate based upon their beliefs, and they legislate things that restrict the freedoms and liberties of others, which is a thing I have against any religion. But in my country, in the United States, Christianity is the one that does that the most. It has the most followers. The majority of the population believe in the Christian God to some extent. So that's the one I happen to oppose most. But I wouldn't use the word hate. It's just I don't like how people use irrational beliefs to justify legislating restrictive actions on others. I mean, if you got a rational reason to restrict the actions of others, use the rational reason. Don't use I have a faith-based position that the Bible is telling me that gays shouldn't be marrying each other, or that gays are worthy of death, which the Bible actually says. So yeah, that's my answer to this first question. I don't hate Christianity most of all. I oppose it more often than not because it's the one dominant in my country. But if I happen to be living in Saudi Arabia, I definitely would be opposing Islam more. As far as which religion I hate more, Islam. I definitely hate Islam more. So this guy's premise is just off.
Number 2, why do atheists attack Jesus, discredit his words and his character, and attempt to marginalize him, whether by ridiculing him or mocking him, more so than any other so-called gods or false gods?
I'm not attacking Jesus. The guy doesn't exist. I'm attacking the beliefs if I'm attacking anything. And I'm not really so much attacking it as I am questioning why people have these beliefs. What is the reason for these beliefs? How do you know they're true? How do you know these words that were purported to be from Jesus actually came from Jesus? And of course, what's the evidence that this guy was divine or, walked on water? I mean, you're referencing a book with stories that conflict in the details. He didn't fulfill the messianic prophecies according to the Jews. I just don't get it. So again, I'm not attacking Jesus. I'm attacking the belief system that contains Jesus at the center of it, because I don't find it to be rational. So all I'm really asking for is, what's the evidence? Give me the evidence. Give me a reason to believe that it's actually true, that there's some reason to expect that there could be an avatar of God, that God actually had to send himself to the earth in the form of a human so he could sacrifice himself to himself, to make a loophole so that he could forgive everybody, instead of just forgiving everybody. Just snapping his finger and saying, you're forgiven. He had to do this blood magic ritual thing where he had to kill himself as the ultimate sacrifice, the pure sacrifice. None of it makes any sense. And I've asked preachers this to explain, how does this make sense? Why would a all-powerful God have to do it that way? Why does this God like the smell of blood? I don't get it. So I'm attacking the belief system, not any individual, like this Jesus character. I'm not attacking Jesus. I'm attacking the words that people think Jesus said, or the belief system that contains Jesus. This is more of a meta level. And before I even get into the details of the Bible and stuff like that, I usually want people to justify a belief in any God. Start at that level. Prove a God exists. Then we'll decide which doctrine actually makes any sense. If there's a doctrine that can be tied to the existence of a God. But you got to prove the God exists first. You can't just be like, okay, well, Christianity is true. No. Prove that God exists, and then prove that Christianity is the correct interpretation of that God. Correct words of that God.
Number 3. How can you hate someone who you don't believe in? And my fourth question.
How can you hate someone that you don't believe in? That's a great question. I don't hate someone. I don't hate Jesus. I hate the religion. I hate the fact that people buy into irrational beliefs. I don't hate the people that buy into irrational beliefs. I hate that people can get this process in their brain where they can justify irrational beliefs. So his question actually refutes his first two questions. I don't. It's the same answer I gave to his first two questions. I don't actually do that. I don't hate Christianity more than any other religion. So yeah, I don't. That's the answer.
And my fourth question to the atheist is, do you realize that atheism proves Christianity?
Oh my God. Atheism proves Christianity. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. You know what? My lack of belief in Bigfoot proves Bigfoot. My lack of belief in leprechauns proves leprechauns. Matter of fact, I say leprechauns do not exist. I don't just claim that I don't believe they exist. I assert that leprechauns do not exist. Therefore, they exist. Right? I don't even think he believes that. I think he's trolling. Well, I appreciate that it's a short video and that I'm able to make a short video as a response to this short video. But 4 questions atheists cannot answer are easily answered. The first 3 were entirely biased from his point of view and just incorrect. They're just incorrect assertions, at least for me. I'm sure there are atheists that hate Christianity more than any other religion, and they have their reasons. Probably has to do with the harm they perceive Christianity as imposing on the world. But I would think that a lot of atheists put Islam ahead of Christianity when it comes to harm and when it comes to a hate-worthy religion. And again, it's usually that we hate that people fall for this stuff. We hate the fact that people buy into this stuff, not so much the religion, because you're hating an abstract concept. I'm hating the actual process that people go through, this indoctrination that leads them to believe things that aren't demonstrably true. Not the specifics of that thing necessarily. Like, I don't hate Jesus. I hate that people believe for bad reasons. I despise irrationality. I despise dishonesty. And asserting that you know something that you can't demonstrate to be true objectively, even to a non-believer, such that it would convince them, that is not knowledge. You don't actually know that. You're being intellectually dishonest by claiming to know something that you cannot demonstrate to be true. And the moment people resort to, well, I just have faith, that's an automatic end the conversation, because obviously you don't have concrete evidence, or you wouldn't bother referencing faith. You would just say, oh, here's my concrete evidence, here's the objective evidence that this is true, now what do you have to say? No, if you had that, you would present that, but instead people fall back onto this, well, I have faith that it's true. As if that's supposed to mean anything to us other than you've bought into something, you're convinced of an illusion, you're convinced of that which you do not see. I mean, according to Hebrews, faith is the evidence for things unseen. I mean, for what you hope to be true. I mean, it's literally make-believe, making yourself believe. That's how it's defined in the Bible. So I hate faith. That's why I'm an apistivist, in addition to being an atheist and a rational skeptic. Atheism is just my position on gods. I don't believe gods exist, to the same certainty that I don't believe leprechauns exist. Which I don't care to demonstrate to you, because do I have to demonstrate that leprechauns don't exist? No, it's up to the person who asserts that they do exist to demonstrate that they do exist, to give evidence for that. And I'm not claiming absolute certainty, and all my positions are tentative. I can be persuaded to believe in a God if you present sufficient evidence to justify that belief. Unlike the religious side, which can't be persuaded to not believe in a God most of the time because they're so indoctrinated that they think anyone who's attempting to dissuade them obviously is part of the deception of Satan or something, that we're all trying to steal their soul and send them to hell. Or no, we're just trying to make you think. We're just trying to save you the hassle of living a life believing in an irrational delusion. That's all we're trying to do. But you have this dishonest position where you can't be persuaded to even think outside of your own box, your own protective bubble, and you perceive every question as an attack on your specific religions, the things that you think are true in your dogma. And it's like, no, we're attacking the belief in those things, not the things. We're attacking the poorly substantiated beliefs, not the items of those beliefs. We're attacking your lack of reasoning process, your lack of evidence. We're attacking that faith-based mechanism that you use to prop up these beliefs, not the specifics like Jesus. We're not attacking Jesus, we're attacking why you believe in Jesus. And it's not an attack in a hostile sense. It's an attack in a very humanist sense, that we're trying to save you. We're trying to help you out of that trap, that mental cage that you're put in, where you're believing in irrational nonsense. We're trying to give you that freedom that we experience, that profound meaning to life that you gain when you realize that this life is the only one you're guaranteed to have, that there is no happy land that you get to live in for eternity, worshiping a God for eternity, as if that sounds in any way appealing, let alone the fact that there's no evidence for it. Anyhow, that's my rant, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this video edited and uploaded pretty quick here. Thanks again, angry Christians asking irrational questions. You make my job a lot easier here. Have a good night.